So I love doing these lives because, well, it keeps you in touch with whatever I'm doing in my life, like taking, Logan to the doctor, but it also keeps you apprised of all the little small business issues that my clients are dealing with that you could also be dealing with. So this week's topic is again courtesy of one of my favorite clients, and it's how to make an explainer video. And what is an explainer video and why do you need it is because, especially after COVID, B2B decision makers are now making their buying decisions way before they talk to a rep. In fact, I just read an article that was questioning, the validity of even having a rep, and that reps are now more for account management rather than to convince and to convert, because what the marketing is doing is your content is convincing and converting way before they're ready to talk to a rep or to talk to you if you are the person who's selling. So explainer videos go a long way to be able to convince an audience about what your value is, what your differentiator is, and what it is that you actually do, especially if it's something complex or differentiated. So in the case of my client, it is something unique to her industry that she has come up with based on the research that we did in the market, based on their need. And so she's fulfilling that need. And it's unique for the people that she's talking to, for the industry and the associations and the audience that she's talking to. So it really, really makes more sense to put it all. And in her case, we're doing a whiteboard video, but you can do any kind of video. In fact, I just recently bought services from, and I was telling her this, the person doing it on Zoom on a whiteboard video. And it was so simple. It was so much more simplified, and it explained every step of what I needed to know, that I purchased the service, even though it was thousands of dollars. So that's what an explainer video is. And by the way, I was drinking this on a podcast, and then I realized, and I was interviewing someone, and I realized I had like a milk mustache, like a hot chocolate mustache, and I was just trying to like clean it up. So, right. These are like so casual, aren't they? Yay, COVID. It's so casual. I mean, yeah, it's because of COVID that I started doing these, you guys. I mean, even like Logan's home right now because he started to take the bus by himself. I'm so proud of him. But he used to come and do them with me. We actually went viral a couple of times when he started doing it with me. So back to the explainer videos. Okay, so you definitely need it, especially now in the post-COVID, if you can call it, world, where people are making more and more decisions on content related to the service or product or the vendor. And you need it especially now because video has become so relevant, and it outstrips reading about something or listening to something by I don't know how many times, but video is key. Now, there are some interesting things about video that you need to do is you have to keep it short. It has to be differentiated. It has to be interesting. It has to be, right? Now, how actually do you create the explainer video? Because this is not an ad. You are not trying to, you're trying to sell ultimately with everything you do, but an ad is actually, it's designed to hook and capture your attention. An explainer video is someone who's actually interested in finding out what it is that you do and how you can help them, because they've already been grabbed by some other kind of message, or they've met you somewhere and they're actually invested to sit down and see and view, click on that thing that you are going to go through and explain to them how you can help them. So it's a little bit different, but it has more leeway because they wouldn't click on it unless they were interested in finding out more about you, which an ad is designed to get you interested in finding out more. So two different issues. So the steps to creating an explainer video is: one, create a unique, and this you need for your sales process to explain how you do things. And this is part of our whole 5-step, one close model, one conversation close model of the sales conversation. But you have to create a unique 3 to 5 step process around what you do or sell. And I'll give you an example of a client in New York who had a wine business. We created a 7-step unique process and we named it, we branded it. And what it was is how they selected from the wine to the brand to how they market tested it and how they picked the price, and then how they tested the price, and then how they introduced it and how they boxed it and all those things. So it was like a 7-step crazy process. And I literally had to pull it out of them. So if you have a process, if you had a client ready to buy in front of you, how would you go through? What steps would you go through to actually have them reach the goal that they wanted? So I want you to just write it down, the 3 to 5 step overview. Now, I don't want you to make it so detailed that they can do it themselves or think they can do it themselves, or I don't want it to be so detailed that it's like a blueprint of a scope of work that they can give to somebody else who does the same thing that you do, but they don't need you anymore. So it has to be high level. It has to be somewhat vague enough, high level enough, top line enough, so that they understand what you're going to do, but they don't have the whole blueprint of what you're going to do. So that's the step number 1, is to create that process. Okay. Step number 2 is we go back to the video, and you start at the start of the video, you set up the problem. So in the story of the script with visuals, you set up the problem and ask a couple of rhetorical questions and put a couple of stats around the pain or the problem that you're solving. So for example, if I were to do an explainer video, and it's been in my mind forever, and maybe this is the day that this is the month that I actually come up with doing it. But my explainer video would start by saying, did you know that 86% of B2B buyers have been confused or think that one supplier is the same as the other? They just can't tell the difference. And did you also know that 3 out of 4 business owners have never gotten business out of introducing themselves to their prospect? And they've never been asked for a meeting or a card. So what I do is I fix what you're saying so that buyers are no longer confused, and you're differentiated, and they always want to have a meeting with you. So that's what I would say in the setup of the problem. The pain is they're not differentiated enough for the buyer to ask them for a meeting. And then the second step is, of course, what I said, which is say how you help them. Now, if you're a fan of my podcast, Polish My Pitch, if you've ever seen me speak, if you've ever seen me train, this is exactly the formula I'm giving you for the perfect elevator pitch, which is at the beginning, you state who you help, what problem you solve, and how you solve it. And then, of course, the result. Now, in the explainer video, you can go through all those steps, but I want you to add in the 3 to 5 step process in there. And the other thing that you're going to add in is going to be screenshots, visuals, sound, all the things that make it a video. Now, I'm not saying an explainer video has to be a huge production or expensive. My client and I would be looking at somewhere like Fiverr, and for a couple of $100, you can get a 2-minute video done. If you can even do the voiceover yourself, or you provide them the script. And in the case of my client, I've asked her to go out, and after every sentence, I want her to go out and give a image, and we're getting it from either Google Image or Shutterstock to give an idea, whether they're going to whiteboard video and illustrate it, whether they're going to use an actual stock photo of it, or they're going to use her stock photo. That's going to be, that's going to have the fees paid. We're not going to steal it, but all of that is going to be included in the video. But I would love for you to do the exercise of going through and putting an explainer screenshot or some form of visual behind every sentence in the script. So the first thing is you write the script, and at the top, you start with the stats of pain and rhetorical questions around the pain, so that you're getting the prospect who's watching this to think about it. Remember, you only have 2 minutes. I'm drinking more. Okay, then you're saying how you help, and then you list your process steps of how you help. Now, it's an explainer video. So in essence, what you're doing is you're using the video to explain the steps. So as many different ways that you can visualize the different steps, that's better. So, on, my client's case, we're showing a screenshot in one, we're showing a picture in another, we're showing an actual trade show at another one. So it really depends on what the steps are, but you have to come up with some visuals around that because it's a video. And of course, whatever graphics you can add, whatever effects that your budget will allow for. And lastly, don't forget to add the result. What is the result of doing all this with you? What is the result that they're going to get at the end of these 3 to 5 steps? So that you have, once you do all that, that's your explainer video. So that's it for this Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. Next week, I'm going to be with my mom and my sister. We're actually all going away this weekend. We're going to have a girls' weekend away. And then I'm driving them all the way back to Toronto, and because they live in different cities. So we're going to have a girls' time. So we'll see who's going to be. Wouldn't that be fun to have them all on my Tuesday Tea Time with Chala? So look out for that. And if I can talk them into doing a live with me, that's going to be fun, everyone. Have a good week. Take care.